Okay, so today we're looking at the calves. And first thing we're going to do is figure out where do these calves attach. So we've got two joints here. We've actually got a bunch of other joints that we need to think about at some point in the future, but let's just look at two joints. First one, we've got the knee. And in particular, we've got the connection between the femur and the tibia. And then down here, we've got the ankle joint, the talocrural joint. If I bring this guy out right now, we can see that this has got a particular path of motion. And we need to pay attention to that when we start to think about how we're moving this foam. So, first muscle, we need to look at the gastrocnemius. So the gastroc comes in via the Achilles tendon and attaches onto this calcaneus. And it comes all the way up and actually crosses this joint, and it crosses this joint and attaches onto the femur. And so we've got an attachment that comes up, and we've got the medial and the lateral head, and it comes up and it attaches onto the back. It kind of wraps around. So even if I just put this here, you guys on camera can see what are the functions that occurs when this muscle shortens. So we can see that there's going to be some sort of knee flexion, and we can see there's going to be some sort of ankle plantarflexion. So we're in our tiny studio, and obviously we've got a bunch of machines that we've tweaked, but what we don't have is a seated calf raise. So we're making one up, and you guys have done this before. You've probably put dumbbells on. I prefer this because then we can start to load up a bunch of discs and we can actually put some force through it. So we've got a position, the knee's at 90 degrees, which means, remember that active insufficiency thing? What do we do to that gastroc? We start to shorten it. And what I want you to do is show me, go really, really slowly. So lift the bar up for me, and then slowly back down again. There's only one thing that I think is a problem with this, so keep on moving. And that's, we're getting those muscles into a shortened position. So that soleus is going into a shortened position, but we're not getting into the fully lengthened position. So we need to figure out a way to do that. So what I want you to do, and we purposely haven't put any weight on the bar so that you can lift everything up. And I want you to stick the balls of your feet down onto there for me. So we tried this initially with the half foam roller thing, but once you put anything decent on that, it just squashes it. So this is solid wood. Now what I want you to do, can you see we're in a lengthened position? So we can see this length at this point here. So now as you slowly go up, that's the position you got into, and then into that shortened range. Okay, so give us like 2 or 3 reps of that. So this is just a 15-pound yoga block that you can get from wherever. Just feels a little bit nicer. And this is only, so this is 15K, this is 40K, so that's 55K that he's lifting. And he's demonstrating control. One of the things that we see on this, so when you've got the traditional seated calf raise, and you've got the disc that's placed all the way down there and it's going around this axis, because it's so far away from the axis and you're actually closer to the axis, the way you start and accelerate that weight can mean that that thing starts to fly by itself. So the inertial properties of that weight can dictate how hard or how easy this is. So this exercise, out of every single one in the gym that you do, I'm going to really stress that we slow it right down. We don't have this problem here because the axis is down there and the weight's here. But when you're on that traditional Cybex calf raise, for example. So we're going to do a straight leg calf raise. This could be the traditional standing where you've got the pads up here. It could be a 45-degree leg press. It could be the straight leg press, whatever it is. There are even calf raises now where it's on a slant and your feet are on and you're pushing yourself away and you're pushing through your hips. All those machines, for our purposes, are the same. So what I want you to do, and there are 2 things that I want you to look for. And this is to make sure that we keep on training this muscle from its fully lengthened to its fully shortened range. First thing, if you go to close to full extension for me, whenever you're moving into position, always make sure that your foot's on this plate and then move into that position. So the first thing I want you to do, now come back up to the top for me, I want you to show me how much dorsiflexion you've got. So this is the point at which actively this ankle and this knee can get into that position. And that's maybe a limit here, or it's maybe a limit here. Wherever it is, it's the limit. And that's the point. This is the angle, and that's the maximum I want you to be going down. Next thing I want you to do, so rest your feet back down. Slide down so half your foot is hanging off. Now from there, we want to look at that weight stack. So get up, and this is a really light weight for you, and that's why we chose it. Go up into the fully shortened position, which is perfect. And we can see that the top of that weight stack is level with the top of that sign there. So for every single rep that I want you to do for this set, that's where I want you to get to. So as you guys know, when you get into a shortened position, when muscles get into a shortened position, they lose strength. So we need to figure out how can we keep on training this muscle into that shortest range. If we go too heavy, it loses the ability to get into that shortened range. So that's our reference point. So keep doing what you're doing, but don't throw it when you get to the top, so slowly up. And then keep that speed and seek out the end, and then slowly back down. So there's an idea that these guys are stubborn compared to every muscle on the body. And we could look at, are they slow twitch, are they fast twitch? What's the best rep scheme? What's the best time under tension? But let's think mechanics today. And let's think, if we're not getting that muscle into its fully lengthened, fully shortened position, then the range of stimulation is going to be less. So if we're going really heavy, it's going to put some force through the tissue. That's a good thing. But if we're going so heavy that we can't stimulate the muscle all the way into that shortest range, we may be losing out.
So in summary, some key points for those stubborn calves.
Stubborn calves. So number one, the whole series that we've done together is on how to train muscles. So we're thinking, how do we get the muscles to do the work rather than the weight? So the speed at which you move is important. And on this machine, this seated calf raise, we saw that the inertia of that mass, because it's so far away, can take things away. So slowing that thing down. Second thing, we've got dorsiflexion and plantarflexion. We want to max out that dorsiflexion and max out that plantarflexion to make sure we're stimulating that muscle. And for us in here, because of the machines that we've got something like this. And this is rock solid. This is something that it's got this grip on here, so we're not going to slide around. And it means that it gives us enough leverage so we can start to go into a little bit more dorsiflexion, as long as you stay within your active range. And then the final thing was, we never really take a muscle away. We can remove its ability to do something, but only by a small amount. So we've got this 90 degree at the knee, we've got the 0 degree, we've got everything in between as well. And exploring that knee option as well as a plantar flexion, as well as the ankle range, is definitely key.
Perfect.
All right,
Michael.
Pleasure.
See you soon.